Prince Harry's total breakdown and break from reality has continued overnight, because not only is he breaking down in tears again during his holiday to Portugal, he has now leaked a private security document to Chris Shipp of Woke ITV, which has been broadcast to the world.
I think everything around Harry's trip is they're trying to choreograph and plan things, thinking that they're going to get a certain outcome. And I think at this point, it's just really proving one thing, that Harry really, truly is not on the inside anymore.
They're going to the UK, Maureen. And they're taking Lilibet and Archie, which to me is an obvious attention ploy.
A highly confidential, top-secret security file detailing active threats against a royal prince suddenly landing right in the hands of the media. Now, ask yourself the real question. Who actually leaked it? You might think it was an undercover operative or a hostile hacker, but the whispers behind closed doors suggest something far more shocking.
This is honestly the most insane own goal I have ever seen in royal history. Actually, the only thing that should be staged for Prince Harry is some type of intervention now, and I don't even think this man should be coming to the United Kingdom at all, let alone bringing his difficult wife, and I would argue his very vulnerable children.
Did Prince Harry's own camp let this slip to the world? We are talking about 6 major terror threats, 5 of them supposedly based right here in Britain. But this time, the narrative has completely flipped. It is no longer just the usual critics calling him paranoid. The most stunning part of this entire drama, thousands of his own dedicated supporters are now changing their tune, openly using words like clinical intervention and urgent psychiatric care.
You know, there are no IEDs or roadside bombs in Britain. And there are ways to manage risk that are not simply about having an armed police officer next to you, but that rather are just about not going into the specifically dangerous situations. So, for example, Harry and Meghan went to Colombia. Now, some people said at the time kind of were screaming about how Colombia is this really unsafe country. How could they possibly go to Colombia when they wouldn't, go to London? And there was a part of me that was like, well, that's being a bit mean about Colombia.
What is actually going on behind the scenes? Let's look at the facts that the mainstream media isn't fully highlighting. Days before his scheduled return to the UK, a private security document found its way to major British broadcasters. Within hours, it dominated global headlines. The report painted a grim picture, a mix of extreme ideological plots specifically targeting him.
Harry leaks a security report prepared by his own team to Woke ITV. And as the Daily Telegraph put it, terrorists could target Harry at Invictus Games, finds report that he pays for. Now, I don't think it's true anyway. I believe that Meghan's real fear is that no one will turn up or she will be booed, and we will get to that shortly. But I just want to show you the sort of hysteria in the mainstream media about this report with Good Morning Britain.
But if you look closer at the source, a massive red flag appears. This wasn't an official briefing from MI5. It didn't come from Scotland Yard. This document was commissioned, compiled, and paid for by Harry's own private security firm, a team that costs an estimated $3 million a year to keep on retainer.
ITV News has seen a confidential security report claiming the Duke faces 6 terrorist threats, 5 of which allegedly originate in Britain. Allegedly is doing a lot of hard lifting there, given this report was prepared by his own private security firm that he pays $3 million a year. But Chris Shipp totally was suckered by this.
Think about the dynamic here. A private company relies entirely on its client to stay in business. Does a firm like that have a financial incentive to keep finding new dangers to justify next year's massive invoice? And the media coverage raised just as many questions. The initial journalist who broke the story has shared personal interviews with the prince in the past and has been seen close to the Sussex Circle for years. Observers are openly asking, is this objective journalism, or has the media simply become a megaphone for a specific narrative?
And unfortunately, this bloke is no longer a reporter. He is a propagandist for the Sussexes, has been for some time. He was granted that interview with Harry in Ukraine. And Chris Shipp just reported this as fact, revealed why Prince Harry's safety risk is much greater in the UK than any other country. More terrorist threats against him, or originate in the UK, and how the FBI alerted him of an assassination plot because of his military service in Afghanistan. Well, I'm going to pause there to say it's not his military service in Afghanistan that's the problem. It's the fact that he revealed his Taliban kill count in Spare that's the problem.
While the headlines were screaming danger, the palace was quietly making a massive move, one that completely derailed the Sussex strategy. The king didn't leave them exposed. Instead, Charles offered a fully secure, high-protection suite of rooms right inside Buckingham Palace. This is the exact same ultra-secure location that has successfully protected the monarch in the heart of London for decades. But apparently that wasn't enough.
Harry's mad, I think, because you're not allowed to have guns. I think the private security can't have guns. But honestly, like, you don't need that. He doesn't need it. People aren't going to be taking random shots at him. When was the last time you heard about somebody taking random shots at the royal family while driving around Great Britain? You need a bodyguard. You need somebody to stop somebody from coming and accosting you or getting overly zealous when they see you. And he will have that in abundance. So just as we come to air, his people release some. He's under threat from at least 6 terror plots in the UK.
Very important. He's a very important person.
And Dan Wooden he responded like, this is the most ridiculous, artificial, made up document. It comes from Harry's office. It's like someone's been searching their emails to find like I'll get you. Another terrorist plot against me.
The demand wasn't just for safety, it was for a full motorcade and armed police protection trailing his every move on public streets. That specific elite tier of security is strictly reserved for the sovereign and the direct heirs to the throne, working royals who dedicate every single week to public duty, like Princess Anne or the Duke of Edinburgh. Don't even get that. They get a direct liaison line, not an armed vanguard.
And Nickel reports that while King Charles has offered the family a suite of rooms at a royal residence believed to be Buckingham Palace where they would be completely secure, the Sussexes who were planning to travel around the country have been told they will not receive full police protection, which might have included a police motorcade for when they are travelling. When Ravik informed the Sussexes this would not be the case, the Duke of Sussex was devastated and close to tears. He had assumed that because he was bringing the kids and the king had made a royal residence available to them, he would get what he has been pushing for all along, full-time police protection.
Sources claim that when the refusal came through, the reaction was pure devastation, and that intense emotional response to a security classification is exactly where the public mood began to shift from sympathy to deep skepticism. The behavior being reported behind the scenes doesn't look like standard caution anymore. Insiders paint a picture of an incredibly intense lifestyle. Hotel rooms constantly swept for surveillance devices, phone numbers changed systematically, decoy vehicles deployed to confuse onlookers, and a tiny isolated circle of aides keeping his exact coordinates secret.
Friends say his daily life has become governed by elaborate security rituals. Homes and hotel rooms are swept for listening devices before he settles in. He frequently changes phone numbers, limits who can contact him directly, and insists that his movements remain known to only a tiny circle of trusted aides. Sources also claim Harry has pushed for decoy vehicles during some trips to make it harder to track his whereabouts. Security isn't just a priority anymore, it's an obsession. A second source says every plan starts with the worst case scenario. He assumes someone is watching, someone is listening, or someone knows where he is. It's been described as a hyperstate of vigilance.
But here's the massive contradiction that the internet is currently obsessing over. How can someone claim to live in constant existential danger in the UK, yet walk around casually in public American spaces? We have seen the footage, photographed at massive, packed US stadiums surrounded by tens of thousands of strangers, completely at ease with no visible high-level security. Why does the fear seemingly activate only when the UK is involved? That glaring inconsistency is exactly why thousands of viewers in the comment sections are concluding that this might be less about physical safety and more about a deep, localized emotional trigger.
Bomb making in the basement, the imaginary basement. It's so, their brand is chaos. Nothing is ever just a straightforward execution, a visit, whatever.
Right.
There have been conflicting reports now that Meghan may not be going. She's not happy. She may not be taking the children. I think part of the reason they want to take the children is so that they can say future King William would not see his own niece and nephew.
Tracks.
They are of the royal blood. William and Kate are cold-blooded, unfeeling people. There are also reports that Harry wants to stay at Althorpe, which is Diana's home and resting place.
It leads to a very uncomfortable question regarding the family. If anyone truly believes there is an active, credible threat to their life in a specific country, would they ever bring their young children into that environment? No amount of armed security completely removes risk. The natural human instinct is to keep your family as far away from danger as possible.
I actually believe that is true. That is what Meghan is concerned about, because she had absolutely no problem, P. Dinah, traveling to Chicago on her own, going to Colombia, going to Nigeria. I think Meghan knows there's absolutely no genuine threat here, but she doesn't want to be embarrassed. So it's much better playing into Harry's paranoia. And this is something that we've seen throughout their relationship. You know, we saw in the Netflix documentary the way that she makes Harry even more scared than he already is about paparazzis following him, for example, when she used to call the paps. You know, she's the queen of calling the paps.
So what is the real motive? Is the threat profile being highlighted as a tool to put pressure on the family, or is there an entirely different strategy at play? To make matters more intense, reports surfaced comparing these frustrations to the extreme historic hardships faced by figures like Salman Rushdie, to compare standard public figure security disputes to a brutal historic assassination attempt left commentators and even longtime defenders stunned on live television. Even official legal paperwork eventually revealed that royal household members had actually advocated for his safety in writing, completely contradicting the narrative of an internal plot.
This revelation in terms of Harry believing the palace plot is to somehow try and get him is not an exaggeration. I mean, you remember last year in the interview with the British Bashing Corporation, he directly accused the palace of wanting him dead. Now this briefing has gone to Jack Royston. He is someone you might be familiar with, the Newsweek royal correspondent who for a long time was a total propagandist for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. In recent weeks and months he takes their briefing, but in fairness has also started to call out some of their madness.
The public reaction to this has broken all records. Across every major platform, comments demanding a formal evaluation or long-term medical rest for the prince are getting thousands of likes. People are pointing out the ultimate irony, a public figure who built a global brand around emotional well-being now facing overwhelming calls from the public to focus on his own internal peace.
You went to Colombia like a drive out of Buckingham Palace, which King Charles does every single day he's in London. Is gonna be okay. But Tash, you pointed out, as I have been, by the way, there is a very simple way that this could be done that deals with Harry's paranoia. Get on a plane, don't tell the paps, get in a helicopter, don't tell the paps, fly to a remote estate, don't tell the paps, privately go about your business, and don't tell the paps or the media where you are, what you are going, or what you are doing. No one would know or care.
And the timing of this drama makes it stand out even more. Look at the contrast in the family this exact same week. While this security battle was raging in the press, the Princess of Wales quietly completed a grueling mountain trek for charity, sharing a genuine, unscripted moment with a young boy facing health struggles. Prince William spent his days working directly with a homelessness initiative, keeping the focus entirely on service. It was a poignant week, coinciding with what would have been their mother's 65th birthday, one brother fulfilling duty on the ground, while the other remains caught in a storm of legal battles and security dispute.
It would have been a tough moment for William, facing the public, facing that formal role on his mother's 65th birthday, but also knowing that it's his brother who should be there making his life easier at the moment, because remember, that is what Diana always wanted. You know, she always wanted the spare to be there in support of the heir. Yet he's turning it all into a nightmare, and what could have actually been a very lovely celebratory dinner, given that Charles's health seems to have improved at the moment, instead would have been overshadowed by all of the stress they're feeling in regards to Harry.
This brings us to a critical turning point, especially with major legal verdicts and public speeches scheduled to collide at any moment. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think is really driving this situation? Is this a genuine crisis of safety, a strategic move for funding and status, or a sign of something much deeper that requires real privacy and healing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on this rapidly evolving story. The drama is moving fast, and if you want to see exactly what happens next before the rest of the world finds out, click right here on the video appearing on your screen right now. See you there.